So thank you to everybody for letting me come back here and speak before. There's a few faces in the room that I saw last time, and I am going to cover a lot of the same stuff, but in a slightly different manner. It's become slightly more real to me over the last few years in regards to what we're doing, and being here to help 856 is massive for myself. So my story starts when I was 17, which unfortunately is now 27 years ago. I made some choices in life that really kind of changed what was going on with me. Fell out with my parents, moved at home, and at 17 I had 2 attempts on my own life, one of which was taking a mass overdose, stole a bottle of whiskey from my landlord at the time, and walked into a field in the back end of Downham. And if it hadn't been for a dog walker, I wouldn't be here. I died twice in A&E, where I was resuscitated, and I lost 3 days. I have no recollection of even walking into that field. I have no recollection of taking the overdose, taking the alcohol, or being in hospital to the point I woke up. And I woke up, was told that whilst in A&E, I'd actually sat up in the bed, tried to throw a punch at my mum. I do not know any of that. And I came out of hospital from that, went straight back to my digs and tried to do it again. At that point, I went through some counselling with my dad. That didn't really work. And I carried on spiralling. And I spiraled for basically 20 years. In that time, I got married. We had 3 children. We then separated numerous times. Sex, drugs, alcohol. The only thing I wasn't any good at was rock and roll. And I was an absolute mess. And I had no idea that I was doing it to myself. And none of it now, looking back at, am I proud of. But I got asked the question about what I would say to my 17-year-old self now. And the answer is I wouldn't change anything because of where I am now. I have my 3 older children I don't have a great relationship with. My eldest I'm now repairing because he can see where I'm at, changes I've made, the way things are done. My middle 2 are slightly different. That's definitely more strained, but we are still working on it. From that, I now have, coming up to 19 months old. I've married my childhood sweetheart from school, and life is very different. And I'm very grateful to my wife now for giving me the motivation to make the change. And one of the places I tend to go back to is where I was 8 years ago. And I purposely keep the date on that one because that is me at 8 years ago. Well, just over 8 years ago. I was nearly 18.5 stone. I drank 2 bottles of wine a night on average. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but it was kind of that on average. Smoked at least 20 fags a day. I didn't exercise, and I was permanently agitated, angry, stressed out, unhappy, and that's why I drank. The drinking was the nullifier. The smoking was a nullifier, but it just didn't help. The next day I woke up and I felt just as bad as I did the morning before, and I wasn't doing anything about it. And so that picture was a few months before that one. That picture 2 weeks after coming back from that holiday, I was taken to the Fernmore unit. I was in my back garden with a knife, threatening to hurt myself. My wife had to call my dad, and this was at the same time my mum was being diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And that still wasn't the lowest point for me, which is the scary thing to say. That wasn't the lowest point. It was a few months later at a do with my in-laws, where I got blind drunk in a matter of minutes and got in a fight with my father-in-law. And that was it. I actually woke up walking down the street in Downham Market towards Denver. That's when I came to, and I was talking to a friend who was then on his way to come and get me. I didn't know what I told him. I had no idea, because I'd just gone into a rage, and that was that. I blacked out, no idea. However, the next day when I went home, I saw a video by a gentleman by the name of Paul Moore, and that just resonated with me. So that journey of which I'm going to talk about has taken me from there to here. I'm at this point here, I was in and around 13 stone, maybe just underneath. I've cycled multiple 100-mile rides. I've done the lap of Norfolk, which was 201 miles in the day. It took 15 hours, but it was 200 miles. Next year, I'm going to do the Mallorca 312, which is 194 miles, 16,000 feet of climbing, and you've got the day to do it in. Now, one thing I will say is that works for me. That level of exercise, fitness, mindset piece works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. It's about finding that key for you to unlock it. So I saw the